In our last video, we had wrapped up all of our repairs in Tarpon Springs. We stopped just north of Tampa Bay, and then we needed to determine whether or not we would be able to make it to Dry Tortuga and Key West. We were hopeful that we still had enough time to do that, but we knew the Bahamas was pretty much out. So we were taking a look at the weather and trying to determine what we would be able to accomplish for the next phase of the trip.
This is the morning of day 27, looking at sunrise over St. It's low 60s right now, and this was a great anchorage spot. We had a really good calm night here. We were the only boat anchored out in this bay. The beach and the ocean over that way. Cross over Tampa Bay this morning, and we're just going to see how far we get today. Our plan is still to head towards the Keys, but depending on the weather, we may change and cross Lake Okeechobee. Sunrise over Gasparilla Sound. It's really beautiful here. It has been 4 weeks now since we left Galveston Bay. It's taken us this long to reach this far, which is not very much, but we did have almost 2 weeks of downtime for weather, repairs, various things. We hope to reach Lake Okeechobee today, not cross it, but we hope to get close to it and then we'll cross it tomorrow. Hopefully our fair weather continues for the day. It's a very pretty place to anchor. On our way to Cape Coral, up ahead looks like just one giant wake. Wade into that. Could be a little bit of a rough ride.
Alright. We have a full dozen jet skis. And you can tell it's the weekend. I don't know if you see all those boats that we just passed. That was Wake City.
We're at the W.P. Franklin lock, and they only have one gate working. We're waiting on this little pontoon boat to come out, and then we'll all get to go in. Here we go. We're all going in, taking it slow. We went through these locks a couple of years ago when we went from Florida to Texas. I don't really remember them that much. Before you go through the lock, you all have to have on life vest, everybody on the boat. In this case, we have out all our fenders, so we can go to either wall, but we'll probably stay on the port side since that's the gate that's opening. And they have lines, so we'll just grab a line. It's pretty simple. What bridge is this?
Portnall.
Portnall?
Fort Donald.
Fort Donald Bridge. This little bridge. Really pretty cool. We're here on the Caloosahatchee River in LaBelle, Florida. Isn't that beautiful? Beautiful sunset. A lot of boats are anchored here. I think a lot of people are going to be getting ready to try to make the next lock. We closed at 5, so we couldn't make it today. So we have a couple of locks to get through tomorrow. Hopefully we can get across Lake Okeechobee. Right now it's calm. The water's really calm. The ripples that you see are just from a couple of little boats that came through. Restaurant over there, some nightlife going on. And the city dock where you see all the lights. Back to the beautiful sunset. Day 29. It's beautiful sunrise. We're continuing our trip down the Caloosahatchee River. We are one of the first to get going this morning. We want to try and make it all the way across Lake Okeechobee today if possible. The first lock is about an hour and 15 minutes away, the Tawny Lock, and it opens up at 7, so we're trying to get an early start, see if we can be one of the first, be in that first group or the second group in. The water is peaceful, calm. Good night.
People sometimes ask what kind of fuel mileage our boat gets, and I'll give you a comparison. My truck at roughly 1800 RPMs on flat ground goes between 75 and 80 miles per hour. The boat at roughly 1800 RPMs goes between 7.5 and maybe 8 miles an hour. The difference is my truck gets about 20 miles per gallon. The boat gets about 4 miles per gallon at that speed. If you go faster, you get less, but you get there faster. The great thing about the Lake Okeechobee waterway is not only are you not affected by tides, the locks operate on a schedule, so you don't have to worry about barge traffic, unlike the west part of the ICW. So we pulled in, we were trying to find a place to stay. You'll see the LaBelle City Dock. They have pilings that are roughly 15 feet apart, a little too narrow for our boat, with the exception of one, which was already taken. And there are 2 anchorages there that just weren't feasible either. Then a local said, just tie up to the day dock, don't worry about it. Technically, that's illegal, but he said as long as you're gone by morning, there won't be any issues at all. So we did, and there wasn't. By the way, the ICW will take you to some pretty remote places. You'll see tons of eagles, hawks, bald eagles, you name it.
We're inside the Julian Keene Jr. lock, previously known as the Moorhaven lock. Andrew has deserted his post back here. Here we go. Lucie's back down in her vest. She does not like to be left alone on the fly bridge in case she misses a chance to go out on land. We were able to get right in. This one has one gate broken, so only the port side is going to open. The left one up there, so it may take us a little bit longer. Port Mayaka Lock, probably the easiest one we'll go through because we just get to pass right through. He opened it up for us. As you can see, we just go through straight to the other side.
Just after Port Mayaka, is the 49-foot railroad bridge. This is the bridge that determines whether or not your sailboat can go across Lake Okeechobee. If it's over 49 feet, you can't go.
Oh, I didn't video any of that. What? We just ran Lucie over to the RV park. Back to the Venus. St. Lucie Lock was already closed, and it's Sunday, so we just tied up on these dolphins and we're flying in. First thing we are on our way. Well, we're in Stuart, and we're on our way to where we originally purchased our boat. We're going to have a couple of things done there by repairman, mechanic. We have a couple of things checked out. We're going to find a place to either dock our boat or to dry store it for the hurricane season. And our plan is to catch next year early on and be able to go over to the Bahamas and spend a couple of months. Just didn't make it this year. It took too long to get here from Texas. I have to go back to work. Andrew is still working. He was able to do it remotely. I had to take a leave of absence, so I have to get back to work. We are out of time. But we still enjoyed the adventure. It took us 30 days to get here. It took us 15 days to go from Florida to Texas. But we really weren't very knowledgeable at that time. We did some risky things. We did a couple of small craft advisories out on Mobile Bay and Santa Rosa Sound during small craft advisories, which I did not advise to anyone. That was pretty awful. And we did some overnights. This time we had one pretty rocky trip from Apalachicola when we crossed over to get to Clearwater. But other than that, it's really been a pretty good trip. We tried not to boat after dark, except for our overnight. We tried to avoid really bad weather. We had a couple of repair delays, but we had a good time. Crab trap right here. Right there.
Coconut, isn't it?
Oh. Well, yes, it is a coconut. Never mind. Crab trap alert. False alert. Quick little video. We're here in a neighborhood in Stuart. This is actually where we picked up our boat. And we have quite a few PDQs here right now. Can't see them because it's dark, so I'm trying to do it again in the morning. We are side tied to another PDQ. It's a nice, quiet night. We're going to have a great night's sleep.
If you own a PDQ or an Atari sailboat, you know that the epicenter for all things PDQ is Rumline Yacht Sales. And Rumline Yacht Sales has a place that we affectionately call Camp Carroll. So we made our way to Camp Carroll. Most of the people that we knew that were in the Bahamas had already made their way back. It gave us a chance to do a few things. One, we got to have dinner with them and talk about their wonderful experiences they had and dream for next year. Two, we had a chance to have our boat looked at by PDQ experts and also Yanmar experts. We got a small punch list of some things that needed to be addressed. Nothing major, was things minor. We hung around a couple of marinas in the area. Then we also decided to add a movie screen and a small projector so we could have a full movie experience. Then we moved over to Manatee Pocket and stayed on a mooring bar for a few days and decided, since the trip for some things were a bust, we just kind of needed to lay back, enjoy cruising for the last 2 or 3 weeks that we had, Walked out with the animals a little bit and let them kind of adjust better to the boat and not the fast pace that we'd been attempting to keep. And as you can tell, they were getting pretty comfortable with the boat lifestyle. After relaxing and exploring the Stuart area, it was time to move on to Fort Pierce.
Had dinner over here at the restaurant. Barely see it. It was really busy early. It was Jimmy Buffett night, so a lot of Jimmy Buffett music. One of the great things about boating are the people that you meet, and we made some friends. We hung out by the pool, and then we went to dinner. That's their boat over there. Got a nice boat here at the end. Isn't that one a beauty? Getting in here was rough.
I feel like I need to add some more commentary here. The waterway guide says Fort Pierce Inlet should be navigated during slack tide. And if you're going to go into this marina, you really need to go in during slack tide. We didn't. There were roughly 4 or so knots of outgoing current. And if you look at it, you can see why. On the left-hand side, you have the ICW. On the right-hand side, you have the Atlantic Ocean. And then you also have kind of a squeeze that's happening where the current is going out. So you get a pretty good pickup and then also a side current that starts pushing you over towards the center of the channel. I would recommend, if you go here, go during slack tide. And if you happen to not go in during slack tide, once you go in, make a really firm commitment. Don't try to back out. We didn't do that. I was firm in my commitment, so we were okay, but it was still quite challenging. And the dockmaster said it's when people try to back out, when they realize that they might have made a mistake, that's when bad things happen.
A lot of current. We're going to try and go out more at slack tide tomorrow. We'll have to see how that goes, but coming in now the current is pushing us this way, but when we came in it was pushing us right against this pillar right here. Couldn't push the boat away from it. And Andrew come down and do his best, and we had a dock hand that was helping us. But otherwise, nice marina, nice area. I'll have to do some video in the morning. The water is blue here. It's really pretty. It's just a very pretty night. We've got a full moon. I love the marinas at night. I love looking at the boats. I like the quiet, except for the sounds, of course, of halyards and mast and all that. Just the normal boat sounds. Well, it's morning time here. 7, maybe a little after. Sunrise, official sunrise isn't till around 8, somewhere between 7:30 and 8 o'clock, now that the time has changed. We're just waiting for the skies to get a little bit lighter before we take off today. We are in Cocoa, Florida, anchored over here, and we will head towards Daytona today. Get close enough to really see it now.
Can you get the
Pretty cool. Some of them up close to the binoculars. That's kind of a little island. A lot of people just hanging out.
Our last stop before Palm Coast was Daytona Marina. It's a great marina. They have facilities that are there that will allow you to dump stuff in their dumpster. They have oil recycling, so if you need to do some maintenance, it's a great place to do that. I went ahead and changed oil on the genset, both engines, and then one morning, out of the blue, we just happened to see a SpaceX launch.
Beach Street down here in Daytona, and it is St. Patty's Day. Got bars, corned beef sandwiches, art, vendors. There's a giant leprechaun man walking around. I don't see him right now. He went to one of the shops.
One thing you do need to be aware of in the Daytona Marina is the Lady Dolphin of Daytona dinner cruise. If you're not expecting it, it can be a big surprise. And in our case, we were on the tee that was closest to where the boat goes by. So imagine the surprise when you're there and everything is calm and quiet, and then you have a rather large boat go by, pull out, do a spin around, and head out of the marina. But you get used to it. The crew's completely professional. They know exactly what they're doing. And everybody on the cruise seemed to be having a really good time. Made us a little bit curious, and we decided, hey, we should go check this out.
We're on our way. We got fuel, pump out, and now we are finally going to go under this bridge that we've taken pictures of. Although we did go under it last night in the Lady Dolphin, but now we're going to go under it in the Venus.
All right, this is going on a bridge when you don't have clearance. That's right on that hairy edge.
This will be our last of the marinas for a while. This is Palm Coast Marina. It's small. Everyone here has been very friendly. Got good showers, good bathrooms, nice little store. They have ice cream in the store, that's always a plus. We are leaving Palm Coast Marina, and we are heading under this bridge. This bridge is pretty shallow, or pretty low, so we had to drop our mast. So right now, we're sitting like this. Not that pretty, but it wasn't too hard to do. About 5 minutes. And then we'll be able to get under this bridge, and we will be headed towards our vacation home here, where we'll dock a Bemis behind the house. This is a nice little canal. A lot of people do kayaking and stuff. They actually rent kayaks over here at Palm Coast Marina. And there's a fuel dock there. And they rent kayaks there, and people will just kayak around these canals.
All right, we just passed under that. That was our narrowest bridge. I was at about 16 feet, and we slowed down my pano. We did not have to lower this. If it was high tide, we might have to drop this down.
Coming up to our dock, spin around and point it the other way.
Well, that's the end of the trip. Kemah, Texas, all the way to Palm Coast, Florida, little over 1,300 miles. It wasn't exactly the trip that we wanted, but it was the trip that we got. We just needed to pull in, make ready for hurricane season, get the boat ready for a little bit of longer term storage, and get prepared for next season. So next year, we're definitely going to make it to the Bahamas, and we're really looking forward to that.